Hello, and welcome to Law Talk. My name is John Celebrezze, and I'm the co-founder of the Celebrezze-Zangi Community Legal Education Project, as we call it, CZ-CLEP for short. Our organization provides continuing education about the judiciary and legislature to attorneys, judges, government officials, and the general public. As a career educator, I recognize early on how important legal matters are and how they impact our lives. I am the nephew of the late Anthony J. Celebrezze, who was the popular 5-term mayor of Cleveland and a member of President Kennedy's cabinets. As a tribute to his lifetime commitment to the legal process, we dedicate this show.
John's special guest today is Dean Holman. Dean was elected Medina County Prosecuting Attorney in 1988. He was re-elected to that position again in 1992, 96, 2000, 2004, 8, and 12. Mr. Holman was Assistant Medina County Prosecutor from 1981 to 84. He was Chief Assistant Prosecutor in Huron County from 85 through 86. Dean Holman is active in the community. He's a member and board member of the Brunswick Optimist Club, a former member of the Board of Directors of the Brunswick Salvation Army, a former member of the Brunswick Chamber of Commerce, and past member of the Board of Directors of the Cleveland Baseball Foundation. He is presently a member of the Executive Committee and Legislative Committee of the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association, and he previously served as President, Secretary, and Treasurer of that organization. Dean Holman was named Prosecutor of the Year in 2011. Let's join John and his special guest, Dean Holman.
Dean, welcome to Law Talk.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Okay. Boy, for years we've passed each other in the courthouse every now and then, and we said we'd get together to do this show, and today's the day.
I'm glad we're here.
Well, I am too. You've been our prosecutor here in Medina County for a number of years, haven't you?
Yes, since January of 1989. I'm in my 27th year.
Wow, that's great. And I read in the paper you're going to run again.
Yes, I am. I'm looking forward to a campaign.
All right. Okay, Dean. Well, I guess being in and out of that court a lot, I see you, I see your assistants. I may see a little more, obviously, I see a little more than most of my viewers. So I was kind of hoping today, that's why I have my trusty clipboard, that maybe you could answer a few questions for the benefit of our viewers of life in the day of Dean Holman and in the prosecutor's office.
Be glad to answer those questions.
Okay. Well, as long or as short as you want to go, Dean, you've got the mic.
Okay.
Describe your duties as the Medina County Prosecutor.
Well, my primary responsibility is to prosecute adults for felonies. We're also involved in juvenile court with juveniles in traffic, misdemeanors, and felonies if committed as a juvenile. There's also the civil side of the office where I'm the counsel for county and township officials.
I see.
Where we're advising them on a wide array of issues, contracts, personnel, employment issues, zoning issues, the health department, their issues. We represent the townships in court. We initiate actions on the townships' behalf, defend them in lawsuits, initiate lawsuits on behalf of the county, defend them in lawsuits. We also get involved in the labor negotiations with the county and a township at this time. So it keeps us busy. I have 5 assistant prosecutors in the civil division, 6 in the criminal division. I have 3 who do child support. We also get involved in child support matters and collecting child support, representing the Medina County Child Support Enforcement Agency.
I see. Well, that's a perfect segue, Dean, into my next question. As a great summation of what goes on. I think a lot of my viewers, like all of us, who will see your picture or read about you while you are I've read articles where you were actually prosecuting a capital case, but behind the scenes, though, this civil matter, I'm glad you brought that up because there's a whole lot of work involved in. I mean, I'm a retired school superintendent myself, and I know firsthand a little bit about the need for legal assistance in the public sector. I guess maybe that leads to this is a pretty good question here. Your staff, Dean, your total staff, how many people do you supervise?
26 at this time.
26.
Right.
Okay.
15 assistant prosecutors. That's 5, as I said, in the civil division, general civil division, 6 in criminal, 3 in child support. Then there's a Victims Assistance Department. I started the Victims Assistance Program when I got elected in 1989, and then the rest are support staff.
Okay, all right. You know, it kind of occurred to me as I was driving over here today, you know, I guess we've known each other for a lot of years, but many of your assistants have been with you for quite a while, haven't they? And you've got some really experienced and very knowledgeable. I'm sure you're all knowledgeable, but I know I spent a lot of time in Judge Kimbler's court, and your two assistants have been there for quite some time.
Yeah, I have two assistants in Judge Kimbler's court, Matt Rizzavi and Mike McNamara. Matt Rizzavi's been with me since 2002, and Michael McNamara's been with me since 2007.
I see.
Upstairs, I have, Bill Thorne's been there since 1974. He was there before I got there, and we worked together as an assistant prosecutor when I was an assistant prosecutor in Medina County. And Tom Karras has been with me since 2008. Brian Richter since 2007.
Okay.
And Mike Lyons left and came back. So
you got a seasoned crew. That's for sure.
I'm very fortunate.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I mean, I don't get into all courtrooms, but your two assistants in Judge Kimbler's courtroom do an outstanding job.
Thank you.
They represent you very well in the people of this county.
Thank you very much.
I'm proud to tell you that.
Thank you.
Sometimes as a defense attorney, I'm not on the winning side, but nonetheless, I mean, that's what it's all about. But they're very, very competent people. And actually, to their credit and your credit too, obviously we're both law school graduates, and a lot has happened in our profession over the years. But people with trial experience, I think, are getting harder and harder to come by. And, to get in front of a jury on a regular basis, there could be no better experience. So laud you for that.
Thank you.
Well, this kind of leads into, I mean, it started a long time ago, I guess, by some people's standards, maybe not yours and I's, but 27 years you're...
Yes.
Okay. What inspired you?
I wanted to change the office. I wanted to improve the office. I wanted more aggressive prosecution.
I see.
And I liked trial work. I liked helping victims of crime. I wanted to start the Victims Assistance Program.
Okay. And this was an office, I mean, that you were actually working as an assistant in?
Well, I was there from 1981 to 84 in Medina County. Then from 1985 to 1986, I was in Huron County, living in Medina County, but working in Huron County as a chief assistant there in the prosecutor's office. And I ran for election here in 1988. Okay.
All right. The terms, Dean, how long is an elected term for a prosecutor?
4 years.
4 years. So
I was up in 2012. The term I'm in now started January of 13. It's over in December of 16. So I'm up for election in 2016. So it's 4-year terms.
So come November, the first Tuesday after the first Monday of November of 2016, you will obviously be on the ballot.
Right.
Okay. Assuming you would win that election, you then will start another term that will take you to 2020?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But that's a little bit different than a judge's term, though.
Judge's term is 6 years. Both municipal and the Court of Common Pleas are 6 years.
But yours is 4 years, like Mike Kovac, the auditor, and...
Exactly. I run at the same time as two of the commissioners, the treasurer, recorder, the coroner, and the sheriff.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's very interesting. So there's another dimension to your busy job, but there's some politics involved there. You'll be running for office.
Yes.
Okay.
I keep politics out of the decisions in the job and the work of the office, but it's a political job I have to campaign for in order to be able to do the job.
Sure. So you are truly an elected official.
Right.
Okay. All right. Sometimes, Dean, my viewers, we see you in the person when there's a crime of some notoriety, usually a capital case. Fortunately, I don't think they happen in our county too often, but that's pretty much the time I remember in my visits to court. There's Dean trying cases. It's a murder case.
Yes.
Do you do them all?
I've done all the capital cases that have taken place since I've been county prosecutor and other murder cases. I tried the Sepik case with an assistant in 2013.
Yeah, that's the one where I saw you last, I think.
And then before that, I tried the Arswald case. It wasn't a capital case, but it was an aggravated murder case without death penalty specs. Dennis Arswald was accused of murdering his wife with antifreeze.
Yeah.
Tried that case in 2011. 2009, I tried the aggravated murder case with Sean Cleland.
Okay. All right. You know, when we hear a lot, Dean, that, okay, people, some heinous crime happens, they're properly prosecuted. Sometimes, I think the last case you mentioned the gentleman's name now, if you could. I believe Judge Kimbler actually sentenced him to death.
Steve Sepik.
With Steve Sepik.
Right.
Okay. But he hasn't, as yet, he's still probably involved in some appeals.
Oh, yeah. His appeal is pending to the Ohio Supreme Court, which briefs are submitted, and we're waiting for oral argument to be scheduled. At the same time, he's filed a petition for post-conviction relief, which has been put on hold until his appeal is decided. Post-conviction relief is like a state habeas corpus action.
Okay.
So,
well, can I explain, if you would, the habeas corpus? Would you explain just a little bit more for my?
He's filed a petition that the conviction will be set aside for various reasons. I don't want to get into the details,
okay.
But for alleged defects in the proceedings.
Okay. Well, I guess this is leading me up to what I was getting to. Albeit our rights are preserved by appeals, and you tried the case, the jury came back, the gentleman was sentenced, he is now awaiting the death penalty. But your office, you said like oral arguments, it's members of your office that have to go do this?
Yeah, I have a person in the appellate division, or the criminal division. He does all the appeals. He'll go down and argue the case. If he's not available, I'll have to argue it. I'm very involved in the drafting of the appeals, in proofreading the appellate briefs, and the formation of arguments in the appeals, and responding to arguments that are made on behalf of the defendant, the appellants. So someone from my office always appears representing the state of Ohio, whether in appeals cases, whether they be held in the Medina County Court of Appeals or in the Supreme Court.
Okay. So here is where we get into the issues of constitutional issues, the suggestion by the defendant there was some defect in the process.
Or trial court error in admitting evidence, or trial court error in keeping a juror that should have been excluded, or things like that.
I see. So for you and your office, it's not over the day that the judge drops the gavel and says, I hereby sentence this guy to death.
No, more and more these cases are never over. I mean, even in non-capital cases, in non-death penalty cases, these cases just are never over. We have a case, a shooting case that happened at Christie's in Brunswick, where the defendant has appealed multiple times, and we just won, like maybe, I forget the exact number because there have been so many. It may be his sixth appeal that he's taken. We just won that in the Court of Appeals a couple weeks ago. And Eric Davis was a aggravated murder defendant. He was convicted of aggravated murder in a trial back in 1981. In April of 81, he was convicted. He was a co-defendant of Teresa Bickerstaff. They killed her mother and two brothers. He just filed an appeal this year, in 2015, over an issue that occurred out of his case, and he's been in prison. He was sentenced in 1981.
Wow.
So these cases are never over.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just...
this guy may frankly die of natural causes before he completes the... But I guess my point about calling this to my viewer's attention, watchful eye on the part of the prosecutor's office. You've got to stay on top of this throughout as many times as he comes back with appeals, right?
Oh, we got to respond. Yeah, we have to respond. We have to fight. We have to fight my office. We have to fight them all. So we not only have to fight them in the appellate court. We have to fight them on parole issues. we get parole notices on murder cases or life rape defendants, and people who got life in prison for a rape case, and we have to, I write letters. There's been times I've gone down and testified before the parole board. We have a gentleman who was convicted of murder before I was even out of law school, and I've had to write letters repeatedly fighting his parole. So.
I see. Okay, well, I think I've accomplished what I wanted by that question. You answered it beautifully.
Well, thank you. And my victims assistance office is involved in that. And like when someone comes up for parole, one of these defendants who were convicted maybe in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or more recently, they're getting in contact with the victims to get their input and what they want to do. And we're responding on behalf of the victims also.
Okay. And that was a program you actually brought with you. You're coming to age here.
When I took office, I started that program.
And all these years, it's still going?
Yes.
Good. That's great.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. You should be very proud of that. You mentioned the Court of Appeals, and over the years, I've had the pleasure of having numerous judges on the show, all of which I'm sure you've had some dealings with. But on the 9th District Court of Appeals, we've had some changes, and typically I'll try to invite the newest member to come and sit on this show, which they always seem to come. Those, I think they're all ladies now, by coincidence.
Yes.
Okay. They come to Medina on a pretty regular basis for the appeals process. And they actually sit in Judge Kimbler's courtroom?
That's right. And that's the way it's been since at least the 70s, and I think since I've been around. And they go also to Wayne County and Lorain County. Our 9th District is made up of Summit, Wayne, Medina, and Lorain County.
Okay.
And they go to all the other 3 counties to hear cases live.
Yeah, we were I wasn't making light of it, but in talking with one of the judges, said it's kind of like you're riding the circuit.
Yeah.
But you're right. But I think the point I'm asking you about that, and we're going to shift to civil in a minute here. But when every local attorney is going to get into an appeal somewhere, somehow. It happens. A member of your staff will be there on the other side, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yes. In criminal cases and civil cases, in zoning cases.
I see.
We won a case for Granger Township. It was a zoning issue, the Apple case. It dealt with rezoning.
Yeah.
And that case was appealed and appealed all the way to the Ohio Supreme Court. So we represented the township in the Court of Appeals, and then represented the township in the Ohio Supreme Court, and won on that issue.
Yeah. You personally have argued before the Ohio Supreme Court?
I argued the Bickerstaff case in 1983 in front of the Ohio Supreme Court.
Only there once, Dean, myself. It was somewhat of a frightening experience.
Oh, yeah, I argued that case. It was at Cleveland State Law School in their auditorium in front of like 300 people.
Wow.
It was quite an experience. Yeah.
Well, I actually, the one I went, and it wasn't that, I was just vouching for an out-of-state attorney, so mine was pretty simple. But it was pretty humbling to actually be at the new building down there, and they're kind of up high there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're pretty much on your toes. Okay, shifting gears. We got to cover this one, because I think sometimes people see you only in the context of the criminal. But there's a whole lot of civil stuff that we've just been talking about, cases, zoning and whatnot. So basically, to maybe try to put it in lay terms, you and your office are the lawyer for the other county officials.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Mike Kovac is our auditor. If he got sued or had some legal issue in his private life, he'd go out and hire an attorney.
That's right.
He comes to you, you assign one of your assistants, or you do it yourself.
Right.
Okay.
The civil division, where I might see County Auditor Mike Kovac in need representation, is with the Board of Revision, where people are contesting their appraisal values, and they'll file an appeal. And we'll represent the county auditor and the Board of Revision in that appellate process. So there's times we're doing it in we're doing the action in the Common Pleas Court, and a lot of times we're in the Board of Tax Appeals down in Columbus.
I see.
Then John Burke, the county treasurer, we initiate, when people are delinquent in paying their taxes, John Burke's the treasurer, he's got an obligation to collect those taxes. We'll represent John Burke in his capacity as Medina County treasurer in foreclosure cases. A case we represented the county commissioners was against, an example is the case against the city of Cleveland, where they reneged on a contract, and my office sued the city of Cleveland, representing the Medina County commissioners, and got $180,000 for them.
Wow.
And if there's insurance involved, if a county official is sued and there's insurance involved, if they have insurance, and we do, the insurance company will hire the lawyer.
I see. Okay.
And that lawyer defends the county official.
Right. But for the dealings of Mike Kovac dealing with people, as this is an excellent example. There's an argument over my house is not worth as much as you said it's worth.
Right.
So they're going to have their day in court.
Yeah.
And a member of your team is there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, over the years, we could probably make a show onto this if we wanted to. You got to know a lot of county officials, haven't you?
Yes.
They probably know you better than any other member of the. I mean, I guess I'm sure the auditor and the treasurer talk to each other on a regular basis, but they have dealings with your office on a regular basis.
Oh yes, I have. I've got assistant prosecutors assigned to various offices. I got a gentleman, an assistant prosecutor, who does the delinquent tax collection on behalf of John Burke.
Yeah.
I got another person who represents Mike Kovac in the Board of Revision cases. I've got assistants assigned to certain townships, so when the townships have a problem, they call that specific prosecutor. So we've dealt with all of them. I've dealt with 4 sheriffs. I can't remember, as I sit here, there's been a number of county commissioners who've been in office since I initially took office, who have served their terms and left, and it's a pleasure to represent those people.
Well, that's great. That really is. I can't help, I'm going to stray a little bit here, but as you talk about your staff, you have to hire a lot of people. I mean, and over the years, they probably come and gone.
Oh, yeah.
Are you personally involved in the hiring of any lawyer in your office?
I hire them all. I make all the decisions. I make all the decisions in the office about hiring.
Okay.
I don't delegate that.
So, young, old, it doesn't make any difference, but I read in the Green Book that Medina County Prosecutor is looking for an assistant, sent applications to Mr. Dean Holman.
That's me. I go over them. I go over the resumes.
You'll screen them?
Yes.
Okay, and then you'll actually interview them?
I interview them. Some I interview most of the time. I'm an assistant prosecutor. I'm interviewing them several times.
I see. Well, how's the talent pool?
I've got good talent in my office, and
no doubt about that. But as far as people replying to your ads,
there are a lot of good qualified people out there who are applying for prosecutor jobs, and it's getting tougher to find them. I think the economy is improving. It's getting the number of resumes coming to my office have decreased.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it could be a better place to get trial experience than to work as an assistant prosecutor. However, I'd have to believe that you could probably, having been at this job as long as you can, have a pretty good idea what you're looking for there.
Yes.
So, which maybe is one of the reasons things are clicking as good as you're.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Well, we're glad you're coming back, Dean.
Well, thank you.
Well, we wish you the very best there with your election.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's shifting gears a little bit. We hear about somebody got indicted. What does that mean?
It means a case was presented to a grand jury, and a grand jury reached a conclusion that there was a reasonable belief that a crime was committed and that this person was the one who committed the crime.
Okay.
And then they voted, at least 7 out of 9 voted yes on an indictment. And an indictment is a document that sets forth the charges that a grand jury has found that a person has committed.
Now, that happens in that grand jury room, I think on the lower floor of our courthouse.
Yes.
Okay. it's either you or a member of your staff in there with that grand jury
Yes.
making the case.
That's right.
Okay, there's no defense attorneys in there.
No, it's just the grand jury, the prosecutor, assistant prosecutor, and the witness.
Okay.
And all proceedings are recorded. Since 1989, we've had to record them.
Well, recording meaning
Record the testimony.
Oh, okay.
So we tape record
I see.
the testimony.
Do you have one of your assistants that you just assign to grand jury?
Yeah, I have primarily one assistant assigned. I present maybe 25 to a third of the cases. I read every grand jury file that goes to grand jury. I approve all the charges.
You also sign every indictment.
I sign them all.
Because I've seen them. I've seen your name on every one.
I sign them all. And
Ballpark, Dean, in the course of a year, about how many indictments?
we'll be over 700 this year.
Over 700.
We won't have as many as we did last year. We were over 800 last year.
Okay, and these would be felony offenses?
Felonies, yes.
Serious crime?
Yes.
So, okay, all right. Well, we're getting to the end, Dean, but I'm going to put in a little plug here. I know you're an awful busy guy, but it wouldn't take me too long to come up with 10 more questions to ask you. Would you consider coming back to be on Law Talk again sometime?
I sure would.
Well, I might
Thank you very much.
I might just take you up on that offer. So once again, we thank you for being our guest today on Law Talk.
More than welcome. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Comments made by John's guest on Law Talk are solely those of his guest and do not necessarily reflect the views of Celebrezze Zangi Community Legal Education Project. To view this show and others, go to www.czclep.org. In the Wadsworth area, a complete listing of dates and times of this broadcast, tune in to WCTV Channel 15 or log on to wadsworthcity.com and follow the links to WCTV.
At CZClep, we're devoted to the education of today's legal issues. Fueled by the public's keen interest in our legal system and current events, CZClep is dedicated to the educational venues aimed at enhancing the understanding by all citizens, regardless of age, education, occupation, or wealth.
A function of the Celebrezze Zangi Community Legal Education Project.